The series begins with a girl named Yeju, who loves to paint and was really good at it, but sadly her family didn't appreciate her talent. Now, Yeju lived with her husband's family, who weren't very nice to her. They treated her unfairly, even though she tried really hard to make them happy. Yeju had a sister named Yura, who was very beautiful. Yura often showed off their family's artwork to lots of people, like reporters and guests. Even Yeju's husband secretly admired Yura, even though Yeju trusted him a lot. Their family was all about art, and they had great taste in it. So Yeju decided to paint a picture of her family to hang up in her mom's house. But when she showed it to her stepmom, Changha, she made fun of it and said it looked weird. This made Yeju really sad. Even Yura laughed at Yeju's painting, which hurt her feelings even more. Unexpectedly, one of Changya's colleagues actually praised Yeju's painting and said that Yeju was a great painter. Eventually, the painting was put up in the family gallery. When it was hung, Yura's future husband, Do-guk, came to see it. At that time, Do-guk tried to make Yeju realize something important. He understood that even though Yeju loved her family a lot, they didn't love her back. They never really cared about her. But Yeju ignored this truth. During a charity auction for Yeju's family gallery, one of the bidders exposed Changya's fraud. It turned out that she had been selling fake paintings all along, including one made by Yeju. This left Yeju feeling betrayed by Changya. At first, Yeju thought the replicas of famous paintings were just for display. When the police arrived, Changya blamed Yeju for everything. She and her accomplice, Mr. Kim, accused Yeju of using the replica she made. Changya even had fake evidence to make Yeju look guilty. There, Yura pretended to be upset when she saw this, while Yeju's husband, Sadok, tried to comfort her. But then, Sadok confessed that he only married Yeju to be closer to Yura. Later on, Sadok decided to divorce Yeju when she was already going through a tough time. Changya still tried to manipulate him, asking Yeju to confess to being the mastermind behind the fraud. This made Yeju frustrated, and she couldn't concentrate while driving. She accidentally ran a red light and crashed into another car. Things got even worse when a truck hit Yeju's car from the opposite direction. She was badly injured and unconscious. Sadly, Yeju had to undergo surgery, but unfortunately, it didn't go well. The doctors couldn't continue, leaving Yeju in critical condition in the hospital. Soon after, Changya visited Yeju in the hospital, but she didn't show any sadness. Instead, she planned to harm Yeju by turning off her life support machines. Then Changya admitted that she never liked Yeju, not even since she adopted her. Changya thought Yeju was too submissive in life, so she advised her not to be too kind in her next life. Then, she left the room and asked Jaewon to turn Yeju's equipment back on. Afterward, Changya held a press conference, pretending to be sorry for what happened. Soon news spread that Yeju was a fraud, and people began to dislike her. Even Yeju's painting in the gallery was damaged by someone. At that moment, Yeju found herself in a helpless situation and prayed to God for justice against those who had wronged her. Sadly, things got worse, and Yeju passed away. But then Yeju woke up and realized she was back in time by a year. She still remembered everything that had happened in the future. Now, she had a chance to get revenge on those who had hurt her. Yeju's first move was to call off her wedding with Sadok. She ripped her wedding dress and threw the bouquet at him. Determined not to make the same mistakes again, Yeju stood her ground. Sadok tried to stop her, but she insisted that he tell his family they were no longer together. Suddenly, Sadok knelt in front of Yeju, begging her to stay with him because his family was facing bankruptcy. He confessed that he only married Yeju to save his family. But Yeju remained firm in her decision to leave, especially since she knew Sadok actually loved Yura, not her. Sadok even called his mom to tell her he canceled the wedding with Yeju. When Yeju got home, she overheard Yura talking to Changya about marrying a CEO named Do-guk from the Taejun group. At that time, Yeju decided to foil Yura's plans by seducing Do-guk herself. To make her plan work, Yeju asked for help from Sejin, her friend who was also a reporter and coincidentally Do-guk's cousin. She also got information from Soo-jin that Changyi would try to set up Yura with Do-guk through a friend the next day. Changyi had even bribed the friend with one of Yeju's paintings to introduce her daughter to Do-guk. After hearing about the planned date between Do-guk and Yura, Yeju decided to intervene. The next day, she went to the restaurant where Do-guk was supposed to meet Yura. Yeju greeted Do-guk, who was surprised to see her there. Without wasting any time, Yeju told Do-guk not to marry Yu-ra, and instead suggested he marry her. This shocked Do-guk because he thought Lee-ju was boring, but he found her surprisingly attractive. When Yu-ra arrived, Do-guk ignored her and went with Lee-ju to a hotel room. It turned out the room was actually Do-guk's office. There, Lee-ju learned that Do-guk's marriage was only for business, not love. He wanted his wealthy grandmother to invest in him. Lee-ju explained why she would be a better partner for both marriage and business, which intrigued Do-guk even more. As the evening progressed, Lee-ju started to get drunk and confessed that she had died once before. She admitted to never feeling truly happy and promised to change her life this time. After sharing this, Lee-ju fell asleep in Do-guk's arms. The next day, when Lee-ju returned home, she got a hard slap from Chong-yi. Yu-ra was crying a lot because Lee-ju took Do-guk. Even Lee-ju's dad confronted her for taking Do-guk away from Yu-ra. But Lee-ju wasn't scared anymore. She boldly admitted that she had been with Do-guk. Hearing this, Jae-won dragged Lee-ju into a room. At that time, Lee-ju remembered how she used to be punished when she was little, but this time she didn't cry. Instead, she was determined to stand up for herself. Lee-ju also asked Soo-jin to spread rumors about her going to the hotel with Do-guk often. This would make people criticize the rich family's matchmaking, and Do-guk and his family wouldn't be able to do anything about it. Unfortunately, Chong-yi intervened and stopped Soo-jin's news from being published. Soon after, Lee-ju called Do-guk and asked for his help. Shortly after, Do-guk met with his family and announced that he was marrying Lee-ju. But his family didn't approve because Lee-ju was adopted. But Do-guk didn't care about their opinions and chose to marry Lee-ju. Meanwhile, Chong-yi was trying to influence Lee-ju, but Do-guk came and took Lee-ju away to ask her father for his blessing to marry her. Hearing that, Yu-ra and Chong-yi opposed it, but Lee-ju's father approved. Then, Lee-ju and Do-guk went out for dinner. Lee-ju felt uneasy because she wasn't used to fancy food, so she asked for packaged food instead. During dinner, Lee-ju opened up about how badly Chong-yi treated her at home, making her feel worthless and unloved. She even confessed that she had been poisoned by a family member. This made Do-guk tear up, and Lee-ju confessed that she wanted to marry him for revenge. Surprisingly, Do-guk didn't get mad. Instead, he offered his support and immediately proposed to Lee-ju with a flower ring he found at the park where they first met. The next day, the secret relationship between Lee-ju and Do-guk was exposed online. Despite this, Do-guk didn't seem bothered by the news. However, his mom strongly opposed it. Similarly, Lee-ju's family still doubted whether Do-guk truly intended to marry their daughter, or if their relationship was just a way to avoid an arranged marriage with Yu-ra. Meanwhile, Lee-ju and Do-guk met at a house where he asked Lee-ju to sign a marriage agreement. It stated that they would each manage their own finances for a year, and wouldn't be bound by feelings of love. Before signing, Lee-ju requested that Do-guk ensure she had her family's blessing. She was also asked to use the house as their business headquarters, where they would work together on business strategies. Lee-ju was touched to find that she had a better room than before, with everything she needed. She agreed to the terms and was given the house key to move in. On the other hand, Mr. Eun-jae, Do-guk's brother-in-law, began to realize that Lee-ju was the one who would marry Se-hyuk, his co-worker. He'd also shared this with his wife, Donna, who is Do-guk's older sister. But then, Donna happened to meet Yu-ra at a store. Yu-ra used this chance to try to make Donna dislike Lee-ju. She tried to spread rumors that Lee-ju had mental problems, but this made Donna doubt Yu-ra's words even more. Then, Donna decided to judge Lee-ju's character for herself, which annoyed Yu-ra. Meanwhile, Se-hyuk's mother tried to convince Lee-ju to come back to Se-hyuk. When Lee-ju refused, Se-hyuk's mother grabbed her, but there, Lee-ju fought back and Se-hyuk's mother fell down. She looked helpless and begged Lee-ju to return her son. Se-hyuk's sister then insulted Lee-ju in front of everyone, and Jae-won secretly recorded it on Chong-yi's orders. The next day, Lee-ju tried to seek her grandfather's blessing, but her grandfather initially refused to see her and hid in his room. However, Lee-ju managed to convince him by saying she forgave all his mistakes. Hearing this, her grandfather came out and gave his blessing for her marriage. To become part of Do-guk's family or the Taejin group, Lee-ju had to work hard. Then, she asked for help from Soo-jin, who suggested she take an elite cooking class attended by Do-guk's mother, Yeonhwa. At that time, Lee-ju needed to impress Yeonhwa to win her over. There, Soo-jin reminded Lee-ju to be herself because Yeonhwa preferred genuine people. The following day, Yeju attended the cooking class and introduced herself as Do-guk's girlfriend. After class, Yeonhwa invited Yeju for tea. To Yeju's surprise, Yura was also there, pretending to be friendly. Yeju, however, remained cold towards Yura. When Yeju was questioned by Yeonhwa, Do-guk arrived and defended her. This incident escalated the conflict between Yeju and Yeonhwa. Afterward, Do-guk took Yeju away from that place, while Yura tried to win over Yeonhwa by giving her gifts. However, Yeonhwa said she was more interested in Yeju's natural attitude than Yura's small talk. When they returned, Yeju asked to be taken to the house Do-guk had given her. Once there, Do-guk suggested they unite as one to stand up to their parents. He confessed his love, surprising Yeju. Even though it was just an act, Do-guk's words and expressions seemed genuine. That night, Yeju couldn't sleep and found Do-guk restless on the sofa after drinking beer. She wondered what troubled him in his dreams. The next day, Yeonhwa visited and proposed a meeting with Yeju's family. This news was relayed to Yeju's father and stepmother, Chong-yi. Yeju's father was happy, but Chong-yi worried. She even tried to find excuses to cancel the meeting, claiming Yeju's grandfather needed to give his blessing. But then, Yeju confidently handed her father her grandfather's phone, injuring Chong-yi. Long story short, a family meeting was quickly arranged at an orphanage. During the meeting, Chong-yi showed her disapproval of Yeonhwa. She also deliberately embarrassed Yeju by mentioning that she was adopted and had a fine arts degree but couldn't sell any paintings. At that time, Do-guk tried to reassure Yeju, saying she was the right choice for him. Yeju didn't stay silent either. She tried to expose Chong-yi's wrongdoing by giving Do-guk's family a replica of an expensive painting. Yeju revealed that Chong-yi asked her to make fake paintings so people who didn't visit galleries could enjoy them. This made Chong-yi worried. In the end, Yeju explained that the fake painting was returned to her with authenticity documents. With these documents, she threatened Chong-yi not to cause trouble at the meeting. After the meeting, Yeonhwa realized how badly Yeju was treated by her family and felt sorry for her. However, Yeonhwa wouldn't fully accept Yeju until she succeeded in helping Do-guk take over his grandmother's company. So Yeonhwa gave Yeju this task as a secret mission. Meanwhile, Sae-dok, Do-guk's secretary, started attacking his boss in the office. Sae-dok tried to make Do-guk hate Yeju. But Do-guk said he loved Yeju and didn't mind being used. This left Sae-dok speechless, so he came up with a new plan. He tried to influence Yeju by saying Do-guk wasn't a good person because he harmed his brother, Chon-wook, by pushing him off a ship, leaving him with a disabled leg for life. Later on, Sae-dok tried to convince Yeju to get back together with him. Meanwhile, Yura took photos of Yeju and Sae-dok together from afar to tarnish her reputation. And at that time, Sae-dok's words managed to sway Yeju, and she finally confided in Soo-jin. But then, Soo-jin mentioned that no one knew the truth about the ship accident because only they were present. However, some witnesses claimed Do-guk pushed his own brother. This revelation left Yeju feeling disappointed. The next day, Yeju and Do-guk faced increasing challenges as more people opposed their marriage, including Do-guk's brother Chong-wook. He connected Do-guk's marriage to Yeju's family, which had a bad reputation due to issues with his construction project. Finally, Do-guk took action by attending the project general meeting. After the vote, the company could still work on interior design for Taejun Group projects. Meanwhile, Yeju's adoptive father approached Do-guk's grandmother for help with her financial business. At that time, Yeju's grandfather even tried to bribe her with money to accept Yeju as her granddaughter-in-law, upsetting Do-guk's grandmother. Later, Yeju returned to her elite cooking class. However, she seemed closer to the class leader than her future mother-in-law, making Yeonhwa jealous. Eventually, Yeonhwa approached and helped Yeju when her brownies almost burned. In the evening, Do-guk visited Yeju's house and found her burnt brownies. He tried them but found them too hard to eat. They later enjoyed ramen together. But Do-guk sensed a change in Yeju's attitude towards him due to Sae-dok's influence. She began to set boundaries according to their contract. Upon learning this, Do-guk felt disappointed and went to a bar. There, Yura approached him and showed him a photo of Sae-dok hugging Yeju. However, Do-guk saw through Yura's manipulation and dismissed her attempt. Yura, distraught by Do-guk's response, attempted to do the unthinkable by taking sleeping pills but was saved by Chong-yi. Upon waking up, Yura tried to manipulate Chong-yi by blaming her mother for being unable to do anything. This fueled Chong-yi's desire for revenge against Yi-ju. Meanwhile, Chong-wook continued to plot against Do-guk's wedding and invited Yi-ju to meet him, intending to trap her and Do-guk. He also called Do-guk, asking him to come to a restaurant on a ship. When Do-guk arrived at the ship, he got really scared seeing the water because it reminded him of a bad experience with Chong-wook. His fear made him feel worse, so he had to go to the hospital. Yi-ju was really worried, but then Do-guk disappeared from his hospital room. Yi-ju searched everywhere and finally found him awake. They decided to go home because Do-guk just wanted to rest. The next day, Do-guk's friend Min-kun, who is a psychiatrist, came to their house. She's been helping Do-guk with his mental health for a while. Min-kun told Yi-ju that Do-guk has a panic disorder, which made Yi-ju very concerned. But Do-guk asked her to focus on their wedding despite his condition. Later, Yi-ju went to meet Do-guk's grandmother, Taja, at her office. Taja told her that Yi-ju's father asked for help from the Supreme Audit Agency. They wanted to make sure everything was okay, so Yi-ju's father's company, Handul Group, could take over a savings bank. Yi-ju responded calmly and asked Taja to put in a good word for her father to the agency. She wanted them to check her father's company smoothly. Taja was moved by Yi-ju's answer and agreed to their marriage. Meanwhile, Yi-ju and Do-guk went to Yi-ju's family to give them a wedding invitation. Chong-yi wasn't very happy, and Yura started saying mean things to Yi-ju. But Jin-won warned Yura to be nicer to her half-sibling. At that moment, Jin-won mentioned to Yura that he had set up a blind date with a handsome guy. Annoyed by this, Yura decided to skip Yi-ju's wedding party and left the dinner early. This led to an argument between Jin-won and his wife, Chong-ye. Chong-yi suggested that Yura take over the gallery, but Jin-won insisted that Yi-ju should inherit it because she's a painter. Meanwhile, Chong-yi had a sneaky plan involving her husband's medication. She leaked information to Chong-wook that Yi-ju's grandfather had given a large sum of money and an expensive painting during a meeting with Taja. At that time, Chong-yi claimed it was because Yi-ju's grandfather wanted something from Yi-ju and Do-guk's marriage. To sabotage the wedding, Yura and her mother arrived at the party dressed very extravagantly. Yura behaved rudely and insulted the man her mother had arranged for her to meet. This made the man furious, and he almost slapped her. But suddenly, Chong-wook intervened to stop the situation from escalating. It turned out he had a meeting with Yi-ju at the same restaurant. The next day, Chong-wook informed Yi-ju that Yi-ju's grandfather bribed Taja so that the wedding could proceed. Right then, Do-guk showed up, and Chong-wook immediately brought up the past accident. This made Do-guk emotional, and he ended up pushing Chong-wook. In another turn of events, Taja invited Yi-ju to meet a shaman she knew. There, Taja and the shaman revealed how wicked Yi-ju's grandfather was in the past. He was known for exploiting people and causing misery, especially to Do-guk's grandmother. Many victims even took their own lives because they couldn't pay the interest he demanded. When asked why Yi-ju's grandfather suddenly decided to return the interest on Taja's debt, the shaman explained that it was to cleanse his bad karma. According to her, Yi-ju's grandfather had no ulterior motive to take over Taja's company or do anything deceitful. After the meeting, Taja started to warm up to Yi-ju and asked her to call her by a more friendly name, indicating that Yi-ju was being welcomed into the family. Later, Yi-ju met her grandfather at the senior center, where he gave her a childhood photo with her biological mother. However, their moment was interrupted when Chong-yi showed up unexpectedly. Because of that, Yi-ju had to hide in a cupboard as Chong-yi announced her plans to marry Yura to Do-guk's brother, who was a high-ranking official in the Taejun group. On the other hand, Chong-yi sought Grandpa Yi-ju's support and promised him company shares for Yura. Yi-ju's grandfather pretended to agree, but then Chong-yi had told that Yi-ju was actually the true heir to the Handul group, Jin-won's biological daughter. Yi-ju, hidden in the cupboard, overheard this shocking revelation, leaving her devastated. After Chong-yi left, Yi-ju wandered aimlessly and ended up in a messy state. The police found her and contacted Do-guk, who brought her home to rest. When Do-guk asked what happened, Yi-ju remained silent and Do-guk took care of her. A few days later, it was finally Yi-ju and Do-guk's wedding day. Yi-ju looked stunning in her wedding dress. Just before the ceremony, Chong-yi approached her and said her father couldn't attend because he was sick. This news upset Yi-ju so much that she almost lashed out at Chong-yi. Fortunately, Do-guk intervened and stopped Yi-ju from acting on her emotions. He urged her not to let her anger ruin everything. At first, Yiju didn't seem to care and wanted to wreck her family and Han-nul group. But with Do-guk's calming words, she started to think more clearly. Soon, their wedding began. Yiju and Do-guk exchanged vows and walked down the aisle together. However, things took an unexpected turn when Yura showed up wearing a wedding dress. This angered the guests. Yura tried to spoil the event by standing next to Yiju and asking for a photo. Later, Yura posted the photo on social media, claiming she looked prettier. Not one to back down, Yiju responded with a powerful statement, saying Yura may seem happy online, but Yiju will find happiness with someone she loves. Yura seemed taken aback by Yiju's defiance, hiding her true feelings. Long story short, Yiju knew that Do-guk was scared of the sea, so she decided to go on her honeymoon alone to the beach. While enjoying the waves, she spotted Do-guk approaching her. Despite his fear of the water, Do-guk came to check on Yiju because he was concerned about her. Then, Do-guk opened up about the ship incident from the past. It began when Do-guk startled Chong-wook, who was standing on the ship's railing. Chong-wook dropped his mother's phone, and he demanded Do-guk retrieve it. When Do-guk hesitated, a fight broke out, and accidentally, Do-guk pushed Chong-wook overboard, leaving him disabled for life. At that time, they spent the day together on the beach until the evening. As the sun started setting, Do-guk confessed his feelings to Yiju. Later at the hotel on their second night, they had a heart-to-heart conversation. Yiju admitted that she couldn't believe in love anymore, feeling betrayed by past beliefs. She also revealed that she was actually Jin Wong's biological daughter and felt unable to love anyone anymore. Yiju apologized to Do-guk for not being able to love him back the same way, but Do-guk reassured her that he loved her unconditionally. That night, they shared a romantic moment and kissed. Meanwhile, Yura agreed to meet Sayok at a bar. When she got there, a man started bothering her. Yura fought back, but the man got angry and tried to attack her. Soon after, Sayok intervened and they fought together, eventually escaping and hiding. During their escape, Sayok and Yura shared a kiss and ended up doing something fun in a hotel room. The next day, Chong-wook, as the deputy president of the Taejun group, faced a big problem. He tripled the costs of a major construction project, causing it to be at risk of failure. He resorted to unethical tactics like bribing agencies involved in the project, which upset Taja. However, Taja's company didn't have enough money to deal with the situation, so Chong-wook had to borrow money personally. Meanwhile, Yiju met her grandfather who shared some family history. Yiju's biological mother had left home because of her father's actions, specifically because Jin Wong brought Chong-ye, who was pregnant at the time. Later, there was a fire that took the lives of Yiju and her mother, though Yiju survived and lived in an orphanage. As time went on, a pregnant woman committed suicide because of Woon-jae. To offset the bad karma, the shaman advised Woon-jae to adopt a child, leading him to adopt Yiju. Later on, the shaman revealed a big truth that Yiju was actually her biological granddaughter. This was confirmed by a DNA test which showed similar results. During a family dinner, Yiju expressed her wish to manage her family's art gallery. Unfortunately, Yura turned down the idea, but Do-guk suggested a collaboration between the gallery and an interior design company. Meanwhile, Yiju found out that a painting similar to hers was sold abroad with the same signature, but without her knowledge. The culprit turned out to be Chong-ye. Despite this, Yiju's paintings were still very popular, boosting her credibility to run the gallery. Yura got furious upon hearing this and even pushed her mother to arrange a marriage between her and Chong-wook. When Sujin found out that Yiju was the one who helped her when she was bullied in high school, Yeonhwa grew even fonder of Yiju. She welcomed Yiju warmly with lots of food when she visited, and they all had dinner with the rest of the family. But things took an unexpected turn when Chong-wook showed up with Yura and revealed they were dating. At that time, Yura's arrival at Taeja's family dinner didn't sit well with everyone. Tensions rose when Do-guk mentioned that Chong-wook couldn't let go of an accident from 20 years ago. This angered Chong-wook, who almost lashed out at Do-guk. Seeing this, Taeja got furious and kicked Chong-wook and Yura out of the house. On the other hand, Yura, who tended to shift blame onto others, blamed Chong-wook for the situation. But Chong-wook, being clever, didn't easily accept blame. He believed it was Yura's responsibility to win over their extended family for their marriage approval, while his focus was on taking control of the Taejun group. The next day, Han-nul Gallery's painting sales were dropping, making Chong-ye worried. Yiju offers help, but she wants something valuable in return. a pricey painting that Chong Yi once used to hurt her reputation. Yiju also convinces her father not to let Yu-ra marry Chong Wook. During their conversation, she secretly takes her father's hair for a DNA test. This leads Jin Wang to question Chong Yi's motives for arranging Yu-ra's marriage. Meanwhile, Chong Yi feels threatened by Yiju's actions and decides to ask Woon Jae to transfer shares of Handul Finance to Yu-ra. However, when she goes to find him, Woon Jae is missing. Soon after, she seeks help from Woon Jae's shaman, who initially refuses until she's offered money. The shaman reveals that someone else was looking for Woon Jae too, making Chong Yi realize she's been tricked by Yiju and Woon Jae. In another place, Woon Jae is getting ready to give Yiju shares of Handul's company. Meanwhile, Jade-won, who used to be Chong Yi's trusted friend, turns out to be a double agent. Now, he's not just helping Chong Yi but also spying for Yiju. When Yiju asked for a painting from the gallery, she found out Jae-won already had it. He warned her to be careful because Chong Yi knew about him visiting the shaman with Taja. On the other hand, Sediok went to great lengths to impress Yu-ra. He sneaked into Yiju's house and found her marriage contract with Do-guk. This made Sediok worry about his ex-girlfriend. Then, he gave the marriage contract to Taja's extended family. However, this made everyone furious, especially Taja, who was so shocked she fainted. Do-guk tried to convince his father that he and Yiju love each other now, but his father didn't respond. When Taja woke up, she confessed that she wasn't upset about the contract marriage, but because she couldn't reconcile her two Bransons, Do-guk and Chong Wook. Things got worse when Yu-ra spread a video of Yiju pushing Mrs. Sediok. People thought Yiju dumped Sediok for someone richer, her ex-boyfriend's boss. This made Yiju look bad, especially because she was seen as disrespectful to older people. The video went viral, and everyone was talking about it. At that time, Sediok felt bad because his name was involved. Rumors spread at Do-guk's office that Yiju had many lovers since high school. Over time, Yiju and Yandwa's relationship soured, leading to tension in cooking class. When someone insulted Yandwa by mentioning her son's possible divorce, a big fight broke out. There, Yiju stood up for Yandwa, and the woman gave in. But Yandwa was still upset because Yiju had entered a contract marriage with her son. However, Do-guk explained that Yiju's family had been causing trouble for her all along, even manipulating videos to ruin her reputation. They really want Yiju and Do-guk to break up. When Yandwa heard this, she finally started to believe Yiju's story and was moved by it, so she decided to do something about it. In the end, Yandwa met with Chong Yi. At first, Chong Yi thought Yandwa would speak badly about Yiju. But Yandwa actually confessed to supporting Yiju and Do-guk's marriage contract. She showed where her loyalty lies. Knowing this, Chong Wook also strengthened his relationship with Yu-ra. He asked Yu-ra to ruin Yiju's reputation to make it easier for him to sabotage Do-guk. Yu-ra also contacted Se-yi, who happens to be Seyok's sister, to spread even more damaging rumors about Yiju. Meanwhile, to ease tensions in Taja's family, they decided to have a dinner together. At that time, Chong Wook talked to Yandwa about his side of the story, blaming her and Do-guk for his supposed misfortune. He claimed that Do-guk injured him in the past, leaving him disabled, and now Do-guk has taken his rightful position, which Chong Wook sees as unjust. While Chong Wook kept bringing up the incident from 20 years ago, Do-guk tried to clarify things. Unexpectedly, they received a recording made by someone recording birds, capturing the argument between Do-guk and Chong Wook clearly. This video made the family's argument even messier. Taja fainted after watching the video and realizing that the dispute between Do-guk and Chong Wook over Taejun Group couldn't be avoided. Finally, Taja took a decisive action. She asked Do-guk to return to work at Taejun Group, and they would compete to show who could perform the best. The person who would lead Taejun Group would be announced by Taja herself 1 year later. The next day, Do-guk showed Seyok a video of him sneaking into his house. He also found out that his sister, Se-yi, was the one who spread the video damaging Yiju's reputation. Do-guk planned to report Sediok and his sister to the police. When Sediok heard this, he felt really down and scared. Do-guk told him that if he wanted to avoid trouble, he had to prove that Yu-ra was involved in defaming Yiju. Sediok couldn't refuse, especially after learning that Yu-ra was also hiding her new relationship with Chong Wook. Later in cooking class, Yiju learned to make a menu and succeeded. She then cooked the menu for Taja at her house. Soon after, Yiju shared that she used to be scared of this food because she was once poisoned as a child, but now she can eat Do-guk's cooking. Afterward, Taeja tried Yiju's food and began to trust her completely. The next day, Yiju met with Kumyoung, her former nanny who was accused of poisoning her, thanks to Jaewon's help. When they met, Kumyoung seemed very moved and started talking about past events. When Yiju was poisoned, Kumyoung was kicked out without a chance to explain. This made Yiju even more suspicious that Chong-yi might have deliberately poisoned her. Later on, Chong-wook and Chong-yi discovered Yiju and Woon-jae's plan to transfer Handul group shares. They came up with a plan to stop it. Meanwhile, there was a problem with a construction project Chong-wook was managing. Someone criticized the quality of the concrete used, but Chong-wook wasn't bothered because he'd already received bribes from the concrete supplier. On the other hand, Seok was upset when Yura didn't seem to care about Taeja's company suing him and his sister for spreading false news and theft. He apologized to Yiju for his actions. Yiju said she wouldn't just forgive him, but he had to fulfill certain conditions. Seok had to clarify his wrongdoings in the media and admit that Yura was behind the incident. The following day, there was a meeting for Taejun Group officials. At first, Chong-wook disagreed with Do-guk holding a high position because his wife, Yiju, had a bad reputation in the media. But after clarification, the situation turned against Chong-wook. Now, Chong-wook was the one under scrutiny, especially after Do-guk pointed out violations during projects managed by Chong-wook, making him worried. Meanwhile, Yura apologized to Yiju for what happened. She promised to give Yiju a gallery if Yiju didn't report her to the police. At the same time, Jin-won nearly fainted upon hearing that Handul Group couldn't take over Savings Bank. He blamed Yiju for the failure, and the company's stocks plummeted as a result. Besides that, Woon-jae couldn't transfer his shares to Yiju because the lawyer handling it was bribed by Chong-yi. Later on, Chong-yi convinced her husband not to trust Yiju. She claimed that Yiju and Do-guk were plotting against them. Soon after, Chong-yi asked for temporary control of Handul's company, but Jin-won didn't realize she was trying to harm him. Chong-yi even planned to take over Handul Finance after Jin-won's death. Sometime later, Yiju was knocked unconscious after discovering that Chong-yi had tried to kill her multiple times, not just by poisoning her in the past. Chong-yi even hired someone to burn down Yiju's house, resulting in the death of Yiju's mother. When Yiju woke up, Do-guk hugged her as she cried. Yiju felt devastated and couldn't believe the extent of Chong-yi's hatred towards her. She questioned why such terrible things were happening in her life. The following day, Yiju wanted to alert her father about Chong-yi's deceitful actions, so she went to see him. She even provided DNA test results proving she was his biological daughter. However, Jin-won denied it, claiming his daughter had died long ago. Yiju insisted on another test and revealed Chong-yi's plan to kill Jin-won with his medication so she could take over Handul's company. Jin-won hesitated to believe her, but Yiju urged him to listen. Meanwhile, Shek-yuk realized his mistake with Yiju, so he quit Do-guk's company. On the other hand, Do-guk officially became the deputy president of Taejun Group. He celebrated with his close ones by having a small party. Afterward, they helped Yiju regain control of Handul Group. So Donna made a list of shareholders in Handul's company and sent them a letter. The letter made people think the company's situation was getting worse since Chong-yi took over from Jin-won. Do-guk helped Yiju with other things too. He teamed up with Jae-won to take down Chong-yi. Do-guk asked Jae-won to arrest a man named Dong-soo, who was ordered by Chong-yi to burn down Yiju and her mother's house in the past. Soon after, Do-guk gave Jae-won a suitcase of money for this task. The plan went smoothly. When Dong-soo was released from prison, Do-guk met him right away. He tried to get information from Dong-soo, but Dong-soo stayed silent. Unexpectedly, Dong-soo met with Chong-yi and told her about Do-guk visiting him. Hearing this, Chong-yi ordered Dong-soo to finish off Yiju immediately. Long story short, Chong-yi and Yura are getting closer to taking control of Handul's gallery and company. They're also shaping a positive image of themselves through the media. On TV, Yura acted sad and guilty to make herself seem innocent after slandering Yiju. Then Chong-yi explained on TV that she took over her husband's position to save the company. They'd also reached out to shareholders to build connections and strengthen their power. But they had a snag when a big shareholder, Jamie, refused to meet them. Surprisingly, Jamie is the leader of Yiju and Yeonhwa's cooking class. Meanwhile, Yiju realized she was falling behind Changyi's plans, so she met with Jamie, who was initially kind and helpful. Jamie even offered to help Yiju fight against Changyi. This made Yiju wonder why Jamie was being so nice to her. But then Yiju notices Jamie's severe burn scar on her arm, triggering a memory. She suspects Jamie might be her biological mother Jae-hoon. When Yiju asks, Jamie confirms it, revealing that her father, Woon-jae, had lied about Yiju's death. Woon-jae, on his deathbed, admitted Yiju was still alive. Just as Jamie reveals this, Changyi arrives, realizing Yiju and Jamie will join forces against her. Changyi kidnaps Woon-jae to force him to transfer shares, but he refuses. In the midst of this, Yiju learns her grandfather disappeared, causing panic. She tries to find him. Meanwhile, the shareholder meeting begins, aiming to transfer leadership from Jin Wong to Changyi. During the meeting, they plan to vote on a decision. Jamie, one of the shareholders, questioned Jin Wong's health condition. Yiju supported Jamie's argument, but Changyi ordered security to kick Yiju out. Do-guk, who came with Yiju, fought security, causing chaos. Meanwhile, Woon-jae showed up and opposed the decision. He managed to attend because Jae-won rescued him from captivity. Woon-jae announced he would return to management. Recognizing Woon-jae's experience, everyone welcomed him and agreed to let him lead. Woon-jae gave all his shares to Yiju. However, Yiju declined the position and chose someone more qualified. Soon after, Changyi left the meeting and tried to sabotage the decision. She informed her husband about the incident, but Jin Wong no longer believed her after confirming his DNA test with Yiju. Then Changyi was kicked out of their house. After everything, Changyi's credit cards got blocked, and now she's broke. She asked Dong-soo for help to find a place to live, but even he's unsure if she can pay him. At that time, Dong-soo betrayed her and teamed up with Do-guk to eavesdrop on their conversations. Meanwhile, Yura's position in the family got worse after her mom got kicked out. Chong-wook suggested that she sell expensive paintings at the gallery to bribe his company's executives. Yura thought it was brilliant, but then she feels nausea. She suspected she might be pregnant and took a test, which turned out positive. At that time, Yura doubted who the father could be because she'd been in contact with both Chong-wook and Se-ok. Despite her panic, her mom saw this as an opportunity to win Taeja's approval, hoping Taeja might reconsider making Chong-wook the company's successor. Soon after, Yura quickly shared the news with Chong-wook, who seemed pleased and told his father. However, his father wasn't so sure if Taeja would accept Chong-wook. As time passed, Yiju and Do-guk grew closer, planning to legally marry and start a family. Do-guk even wanted Yiju to get pregnant. However, Yiju hesitated because she believed she only had a year to live, like in her past life. Despite this, she remained hopeful for a better life with Do-guk. Meanwhile, Dong-soo asked for an advance payment for the murder he was hired to do. Changyi promised an expensive painting by a famous artist as payment. Do-guk, Yiju, and Jae-won overheard this conversation through their eavesdropping. But then Yiju quickly realized that the painting Changyi planned to sell was fake, because Jae-won also had a copy of it. However, Jae-won doubted Yiju's claim and brought in an art expert to check. The expert confirmed that the painting in Jae-won's possession was authentic, meaning Yiju's was fake. Meanwhile, Dong-soo visited Handul's gallery and met Yura, returning some belongings left at the motel where her mother stayed. He also hinted to Yura about a past romantic relationship with Changyi and suspected Yura might be his biological child. Upon hearing that, Yura was troubled by this and sought clarification from Woon-jae. There, Woon-jae explained that Changyi had tried to harm Yiju with Dong-soo's help because Dong-soo was her ex-boyfriend. He also revealed that Changyi had separated Yura's father from Yiju's mother. At that time, Woon-jae warned Yura to be cautious as Changyi was ambitious and capable of harming anyone who opposed her, including Yura herself. After hearing Dong-soo's story, Yura began to have troubling thoughts. She worried that she might not be Jin Wong's real daughter but Dong-soo's instead. To clear her doubts, Yura decided to take a DNA test, which confirmed that she wasn't Jin Wong's biological child. Later, she met her mother at a restaurant, and they had a lengthy conversation. Suddenly, the police arrived to arrest Changyi for selling fake paintings. In a rush to escape, she fled with Dong-soo, planning to sell more fake paintings in Japan. Along the way, Changyi spotted Yiju on the roadside and ordered Dong-soo to run her over. Thankfully, Do-guk's car intervened, saving Yiju. The police then detained them for questioning about the attempted murder. Besides that, at Jamie's request, they reopened a previous attempted murder case. Feeling trapped, Dong-soo confessed that Chong-yi had ordered him to commit the murder. As a result, both Chong-yi and Dong-soo were arrested. After the event, Do-guk became even more protective of Yi-ju and expressed his fear of losing her again. Confused by his words, Yi-ju asked for clarification, causing Do-guk to panic and accidentally break a glass. This revealed a tattoo on Do-guk's arm, similar to Yi-ju's, indicating that he also experienced a second chance at life. Do-guk explained that he died in a car accident on the same day Yi-ju did. Feeling hurt that he never mentioned this before, Yi-ju decided to leave. However, Do-guk couldn't bear to see her go and eventually relented, allowing her to leave the house. Meanwhile, at a construction site, there's a tragic accident leading to the death of a worker. While Chong-wook appears indifferent, he opts to settle the matter by compensating the victim's family and blaming the worker for being intoxicated on the job. However, Do-guk disagrees, believing the root cause of the accident should be investigated. He decides to personally attend the funeral but encounters resistance from some suspicious individuals who prevent him from speaking with the victim's family. To uncover the truth, Do-guk sends Eun-jae and Donna to investigate. Donna manages to discreetly bring the victim's wife to Do-guk's car, where they learn the real story behind the accident. On the other hand, Tae-jun Group, following instructions from Chong-wook, made sure the victim's wife stayed quiet so she wouldn't take legal action. There, Chong-wook claimed to have papers that could make the victim look guilty in court if she did. Do-guk wasn't sure if he should look into the matter, because exposing it could harm both the Tae-jun Group and his own family. But then, Yi-ju stepped in, urging Do-guk to uncover the truth. To cover up the case, Do-guk forged documents stating the victim was in charge of safety at work, shifting blame away from the Tae-jun Group. He also got evidence of Chong-wook misusing company money. This evidence came from someone close to Chong-wook whom he had influenced. Do-guk handed all this over to Tae-ja. Eventually, Tae-ja held a press conference admitting the group's fault in the accident and apologized. Later, the police arrested Chong-wook for embezzlement and making fake documents. Although Yi-ju's situation improved from before, she still worries about the future, especially about a date marked on her hand a year from now. To find answers, Yi-ju and Do-guk sought help from a shaman, who said that their destiny was decided by a higher power. Eventually, Yi-ju and Do-guk reconciled and decided to make the most of their lives. 7 months later, on the exact date marked on Yi-ju and Do-guk's hands, Yi-ju became the CEO of Handul Gallery, while Do-guk officially became the vice president of the Tae-jun Group. Yi-ju felt happy because she was surrounded by people who loved her, like Jamie, Donna, and Soo-jin. Besides that, Yi-ju discovered she was pregnant, and her loved ones celebrated the news with joy. Then Yi-ju shared the news of her pregnancy with Do-guk, who felt overjoyed because everything seemed perfect in their lives. They both felt increasingly hopeful that nothing bad would happen. However, things took a turn when Do-guk encountered Eun-jae, who informed him that Chong-wook had done bad things to herself. Despite being taken to the hospital, Chong-wook managed to escape. Soon after, Do-guk rushed home to check on Yi-ju's safety, only to find her missing. It turns out, Yi-ju had been kidnapped by Chong-wook. Surprisingly, Chong-wook's legs seemed fine, meaning he had been faking his disability all along to manipulate Do-guk. Meanwhile, Chong-wook's sinister plan was to kill Yi-ju, wanting to hurt Do-guk by taking away someone he deeply cared about. While driving, Yi-ju managed to free herself and fought back, causing the car to stop. But Chong-wook brutally attacked her until she lost consciousness. Fortunately, Do-guk tracked Yi-ju's phone using GPS. Eventually, Do-guk located Chong-wook's car, but tragedy struck as Chong-wook stabbed Do-guk when he tried to rescue Yi-ju. Despite being injured, Do-guk bravely intervened to protect Yi-ju, fighting Chong-wook until he passed out. At that time, Do-guk was determined that neither he nor Yi-ju would lose their lives that day. In the end, Do-guk and Yi-ju survived the ordeal. However, Do-guk had to undergo multiple surgeries due to the severity of his injuries. While on the operating table, he dreamed about the events leading up to the accident. Do-guk had secretly harbored feelings for Yi-ju for a long time and wanted to defend her when she was accused of creating a fake painting. But tragically, their cars collided in an accident. Despite being seriously hurt, Do-guk tried to rescue Yi-ju but couldn't do much at that moment. Feeling helpless, he prayed for a second chance to love and protect Yi-ju. The dream felt so vivid that it woke him up. After being unconscious for 2 months, Do-guk finally recovered. He and Yi-ju returned to Taeja's family home, where they were warmly welcomed by all family members. Meanwhile, Chong-wook was sent back to prison to serve his sentence. When his father visited him, he'd expressed his disappointment. However, Chong-wook felt guilty and blamed his father for his own troubles, recalling how his parents' divorce had affected him. Soon after, his father gave him a letter from Chong-wook's biological mother, revealing that the divorce was caused by her infidelity. The letter also revealed that Chong-wook's mother had left him to be with another man, leaving him devastated and realizing his mistakes. On the other hand, Yura, who was pregnant, was kicked out of the hotel where she had been staying with Chong-wook. She decided to seek help from Taeja's family and asked for responsibility. Taeja agreed to accommodate Yura under one condition, that she must prove that the baby she's carrying is Chong-wook's child. They planned to do a DNA test abroad to get immediate results. This situation made Yura unable to agree to the conditions because the baby she was carrying was actually Sideok's child, not Chong-wook's. Yura went to Sideok's house, where he was about to marry a girl named Juri. The atmosphere was warm as they all had dinner together. But Yura confessed that the baby was actually hers and Sideok's. This upset the guests and they left, ruining Sideok's wedding. His family was heartbroken by the failed marriage, and now Yura was going to live with them. Later, Yura visited her mother in prison, hoping for some money. But her mother admitted she had nothing left. Then, Yura decided to cut ties with her mother, feeling betrayed and no longer seeing her as a parent. Meanwhile, Jin-won meets Jamie and learns that she is his wife. He apologizes for all the hardships Yi-ju has faced. Jin-won promises to make things right and ensure Yi-ju and Jamie have a happy life together. This meeting marks a fresh start, leaving behind their troubled past. On the other hand, Jamie is now overjoyed to be with her biological child, Yi-ju. Initially, Yi-ju suggested Jamie should date someone else and start anew. But Jamie declined, as she wants to focus on being there for her grandchildren in the future. After recovering, Do-guk became the CEO of Taejun Group. The next day, Yi-ju and Do-guk had their official wedding ceremony at the courthouse. Then, they went back to the hotel where they first met. There, Do-guk knelt down in front of Yi-ju and gave her a diamond ring. This was their true wedding for Do-guk. Then, they celebrated their marriage at the hotel. A few months later, Yi-ju and Do-guk welcomed a beautiful daughter into their lives. Yi-ju also returned to painting and found happiness in her life. Every day, Yi-ju experiences a joy she never had before. The series ends. The moral lesson from this series is if you're looking for love and a promotion, just propose in the same place you met cause who knows, you might become a CEO with a toddler in Tao and a sparkly rock on your finger.